Thank you so much for listening our Creative Tech podcast today. We hope our story to help your career and life.
Thank you. Okay, so next question. Okay, so Martin, so why did you become a CEO of Asia Building?
It's a long story, actually. So I try to make it short. I was living in Berlin in the end of the 90s, and then 2003 actually moved to Shanghai. And then I lived 13 years in Shanghai. So in the end of 2015, I moved back to Berlin, which was interesting actually to see the city in the end of the 90s, and then now basically seeing it in the early 2020s. And when I came back, and in China, I was a startup founder so I founded like 5 different companies, and over the years. And when I came back to Berlin, then Asia Berlin was already running, because Asia Berlin was founded in 1997. So when they actually heard about like me coming back from China, having founded 5 companies in China, then they were like, "Oh, you have to be on stage and hold the keynote here." So that's how I got attached in the first time. So my first Asia Berlin Summit was 2016. And I really found it is a very nice, positive family. So if you are Asia facing in Berlin, that's really kind of like your vibe, your people, and your tribe. There are a lot of diaspora also, like basically all Asians who are founding something in Germany or Berlin. They are in the I call it like the Asia Berlin family, basically. I mean, like, it doesn't have an entry fee or anything. It's run by the Berlin government, so it's totally for free for everybody. Also, the Asia Berlin Summit is free for everybody. So all the activities we do are free, which is really nice and positive, and people just love it. So it's easy to connect. It's easy to get a part of the network. And that's what I started doing in 2016, and then the Berlin Senate actually, wheeled me in and asked me a lot of questions as a founder. How is it? What's the difference between Asia and Berlin? And so I had companies founded in China, and then I had companies founded after 2016 also in Germany, and other parts of Europe, and that kind of like gave an interesting edge to the Asia Berlin ecosystem. So they asked me to become an ambassador, and then as an ambassador of Asia Berlin, you kind of like, you foster the network. You kind of like also have a central inner group, which is actually quite relevant stakeholders that are, a lot of investors, a lot of important people in the startup ecosystem that come together, meet on a monthly basis, between Germany and Asia as well. So it's a nice little network to have. That's what I kind of became part of in like 2016, 17. Then over time, I got like more and more involved in Asia Berlin. So from 2020 on, I very deeply worked with Asia Berlin on also like a consultant base and through an agency. In 2022, we had the situation that the agency that was organizing, the event agency that was organizing the Asia Berlin Summit over all these years, suddenly dropped off because they had issues during COVID. And then they were not able to do the Asia Berlin Summit any longer. So they came to me and they asked me if I can organize the Asia Berlin Summit with a little team. So we put a team together and organized the actual Asia Berlin Summit on the ground, which gave me a new perspective. So I already knew a lot of stakeholders, but then making the event organizing part for me as a tech person was a new thing. I'm usually a CTO, or was CTO in my prior startups usually. But it was an interesting perspective. I loved it. And then this year, they actually asked me to join because the CEO of Asia Berlin, she got pregnant and was basically stepping out for 1 year. So the board of Asia Berlin came to me, and since we all know each other for like 10 years now, they had like large trust, and they asked me if I could kindly run the network for 1 year. So that's why currently I'm the interim CEO basically of Asia Berlin, touring Asia, actually shaking a lot of hands in Asia. It was great meeting you in Tokyo 2 weeks ago. Then in the meanwhile, I've been in Seoul, also preparing our delegation trip that we're going to have there next in 2 weeks. At the moment, I'm in Hong Kong. I had a great meeting here yesterday. Awesome keynote, basically, that I can refer you to about Berlin that I have held here. Then tomorrow, like today, I'm going to actually fly to Bangkok. And we're going to sign an MOU with the National Innovation Agency in Bangkok. Then next week I'm going to be in Jakarta and in Singapore. Then we have a delegation trip in Seoul. So yeah, there's always a lot of things involved. But the second part of the year, we will be focusing very much on the Asia Berlin Summit in Berlin. So I will be back from July and be heads down organizing the actual summit.
I see. Amazing. Yeah. So we met at the after party venue in Shibuya, right? And then, so eventually, how many days did you stay in Japan, Marten?
I stayed pretty much exactly 1 week. By the way, Shibuya is interesting because Shibuya is actually one of the cities inside Tokyo that are very active in international reach out. So they actually do have people in Berlin, and they are like very big part of the Asia Berlin network, obviously, because Asia Berlin is a perfect fit for them, basically. So the Shibuya Startup Network is very close to Asia Berlin, and we have ambassadors that are also ambassadors for Shibuya Startup Network. So that's where we had this bridge, and that's why it was great to go to that event. But yeah, the Japan trip was amazing because it was actually on the absolutely high level. We came to Berlin, to Tokyo with the Berlin mayor. So it was really like the highest person you can find in the city who traveled to Tokyo to also meet Governor Koike and a lot of other like important people. We had 3 delegations going with the mayor. The first delegation was a political delegation because there was also the GNet summit happening. The second delegation was the industry delegation. So there was like German corporates, bigger companies, also a lot of like Berlin state-owned companies and so on that traveled, and about 35 people. They also signed a few like really relevant contracts. And then the third delegation was a startup delegation that was ran by Asia Berlin. So we had our startups with us, and we visited Sushi Tech in Tokyo, which was very exciting. And we had a lot of pitches going on. We had a lot of visitors on our stand. It was quite interesting to see that there is obviously a quite good market fit between Berlin and Japan, or Germany and Japan. So even though cultural is quite different, I think there are a lot of commonalities that both sides can leverage, and that's what we've also seen, and what also was impressing for the mayor of Berlin to also see, because he was never in Asia before, and Japan was his first entry point, and he really loved it. We were all very surprised that he was like so open and happy about it. I think they also clicked very well with Governor Koike. So we hope that there will be much more conversations happening between the two worlds.
I see. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. So last question, Martin. So tell us about as a Asia Berlin in 5 years, 10 years kind of dream.
Sure. Like the Asia Berlin Forum, the NGO and nonprofit that I'm heading right now, we are actually drafting the strategy for Asia Berlin hand in hand together with the Berlin City Office. So we're trying to get to a bigger picture there, connecting the ecosystems. So ideally, in 5 years, we can truly say that Berlin is a vital part of Asia, which is basically in our mind. In specific terms, I think where we want to be is we want to have values that are, we want to have a product value basically for our members, the members of Asia Berlin. At the moment, we are very much state-driven, city-driven, which is something that is good and that is bad. On the good side, it has advantages because the funding comes no matter how you perform, basically, which means we can also focus on things that don't have an immediate KPI to make money, for example, right? Which means we can keep the Asia Berlin Summit for free. Everybody can come and play. We don't need to focus on profit-driven business models. We can also focus on, let's say, social entrepreneurship and SDGs, or female entrepreneurship, or things that we think are important to push. But on the other hand, I also think that we need to have a significance in the let's say free market out there. So we kind of need to also develop products that or services that companies who want to connect from Asia to Berlin can actually really use. And some of these services, in my opinion, have a certain price, because that's where you kind of like, you can tap into the network, you actually get like meaningful help in your German market entry, and that is something that I see as a vision for the future, that we that we have a significance not only on the government side, but also in the startup ecosystem as a vital helper for market entry into Europe, and also market entry for Berlin startups to go to Asia, because that is also a very critical point on our agenda, that we basically bring Asia on the map of a European startup.
I see. Thank you so much for your amazing wisdom today. Yeah, I really excited to go to Asia Berlin, and then I believe there are many side events in this year.
So we are driving an ecosystem there. We have a large community. Actually, large is relative. Like there are a lot of startup conferences where you have like 10,000, 20,000 people coming. Asia Berlin is not like that. Asia Berlin is a boutique network. So it's a niche, right, within the bigger startup area. And that's why when you come to the Asia Berlin Summit, you will find that there are like basically only between 400 and 500 people every day coming to the summit, which is actually a size where you can really meaningful connect on a one-to-one basis. And there are like so many, side tracks that are happening, and so many businesses that you can also do between Asian ecosystems. Like, for example, we are actually in Berlin, we are actually quite actively connecting Indonesia and Korea, because Indonesians love all the K-pop kind of stuff and all the K-TV and K whatever. So there's actually a really good market fit. And we connected already several accelerators back and forth where companies were actually going from Korea to Indonesia. And we have similar stories with for example, Japan and India, where in Japan, the entrance to India is kind of like difficult because cultural-wise it's really far away. But these people meet on the Asia Berlin Summit, and then you have like ecosystem builder meeting, and then some really tangible thing and programs really come out.
Amazing. Okay, so as Asian or like us who are interested in attend Asia Berlin Summit or just want to know about information about startup ecosystem in Berlin, so we had better to follow Asia Berlin LinkedIn and website. And do you have some social medias?
Yeah, so we obviously have most of the big social media. So we also have an Instagram, and I even believe we have a Twitter. But those are not so significant for us. The most significant one is LinkedIn. So if you follow LinkedIn Asia Berlin, then you will always be top informed, not only about our activities, but also of the activities of all our partners. And we have a lot of partners in Asia and in Berlin. So if any of this partner runs an accelerator program, has a call for pitching, or has whatever, we all push that through our network. So it's quite interesting for entrepreneurs to connect there. Obviously, we also have our website, which is asia.berlin. Very difficult to remember. We try to give relevant content there as well. But on the website, we at the moment focus mostly on the Asia Berlin Summit. However, over the course of the year, we will actually also change our website and have some more member-driven options there for especially for Asians to connect with the market. So maybe like matchmaking and information about German market entry in Berlin, partners in Berlin, and things like that.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for precious morning time, Marten.
Thank you. It's always awesome to see you and to get your intriguing questions. I hope I satisfies all your need for wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening our Creative Tech podcast today. We hope our story to help your career and life. See you soon. Bye bye.